Hello guys, here we are. Let's start by getting ready with our broadcast, our bookmarks, and loading overviews, a short explanation of the overview as well. So let's start with bookmarks. On the Corp chat, here to the left, you can find your chats. Make sure that you find the Corp one. At the top of that channel, you will see a series of links like the bookmarks and broadcast and some different overviews. And you can always reload the MOTD by clicking on the channel settings and reloading the MOTD. So let's start with bookmarks. You click on the folder, there are location bookmarks to the left in the Corp chat there. And the new window opens and you simply click it and online it. That will load the core bookmarks on the bookmarks window. You can open that by clicking the L key, L like Louise. You turn that on and off. There you go. And the core bookmarks will appear. Now let's load the broadcast. Same spot. There, load the broadcast. Good. You can simply close this window. All right, and the last one is the overview. We're going to be using the NEPF PVP 2021. So we just left click on that and say yes. Now we have to undock to see the overview itself. Let's quickly undock and let's have an explanation on that. All right, let's stop our ship with a little minus beside the speedometer. Here is the overview. Okay, how you resize it by the edges. You can drag and resize all the different areas, the name, the velocity, the radial, transversal, whatever. All right, the main tab will show basically everything that's around you. The PvP tab will show ships around you that are not in your fleet. Then we have as well the police tab. The police tab only shows legally engageable ships, sort of flashy ships. That doesn't mean you have to engage them right away, but you'll learn that. We have the gates that shows the sun and all the gates, much easier to find gates if you need to. The ESC tab, which is for escaping. When things are going bad, you can click on anything and hold the S key, which is the shortcut for warp, and your ship will start warping. We have the drone tab. Oh, hold on, let me stop because it started to warp. There you go. The drone window shows enemy drones if you want to kill it. The NPCs shows NPCs, and the loot tab will shoot cans and wrecks and stuff. All right. Here you have distance, and we have name, type, velocity, radial velocity. When the number here is positive, means that the distance in between you and your target is increasing. If the number is negative with a minus in front, that means that the distance between you and whatever you are seeing there is reducing. So the distance is reducing between you and the target. So transversal, you will learn it in time, but is basically how much you're moving in a perpendicular or transversal, referring to your target. So the higher that number, the harder it is for your enemy to hit you and for you to hit your enemy, because the guns have to track and be able to follow the target. Yeah. So that's it. Let's move on. All right. We are back with the shortcuts. Shortcuts, they're very important. Let's set them up. You press the escape button and then you go to shortcuts. From there you go to modules. In modules you change from the F1 to F8. You simply change 1 to 8. Then you go to drones. In drones, we put the F for engage, then we put the R for return to drone bay, and then you put the E for launch drones. Then we go to navigation. In the navigation tab, we set the A for broadcast need armor. Then you can set the mouse 3 or the D like Diana for select next target. And if you have a mouse 3, for example, the mouse wheel that you can click down, if you don't have any extra mouse buttons, you put the D like Diana. Then we have, and go to combat, and here under combat, some might be default, but otherwise approach set to W, because basically in all games when it's W, it's just to move forward, so it's easy to understand. Now the orbit, you can set it to the Q key. Then the lock target is default the left control, but it is much easier to set it to your space bar. This word there is in Danish, but that is the space bar. So it's much easier to lock at stuff, and the movement of your left hand is much easier to hold the space bar down to lock. So after that, you go to the bottom, and probably as default, the warp to is going to be the S like Seville. Okay. Really quick note, if you don't know how to load your guns, you might have your guns without ammo or even separated. The ammo is probably in your cargo if we've given you the ship. And here at that button right there, it says to group all the guns. See, all the guns are grouped. It will, of course, only group guns that are the same type. Now, if there's any module that needs reloading, you can load some tracking disruptor that maybe needs a script or something. You just right-click. The guns work the same way. Right-click, and you see the ammo right there. And select it, and the guns will start loading, and there are the guns loaded. This is how you group and load your guns. Okay, let's talk about module position. You might see a whole bunch of modules down there. That might be because on your options, you have selected the display passive modules that you don't want really. If they're passive, there's something that you cannot interact. So just remove them from there. As you can see, we can have moved earlier, change our shortcuts from F1 to 348 to the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. You do want to put your propulsion module on the top left, your scram or disruptor on the second, web, for example, number 3, maybe if you have any other disruptor, tracking disruptor, whatever, number 4, and then the guns, the last. We start all thinking that Eve is about shooting, and it is, but Eve's secret of Eve is range control. If you can control the range, the fight is almost won. So this is why we want the propulsion module to be the first one. Now those modules here, they are set and put them to the shortcuts because we want to use them with our left hand. So get a habit of activating those modules with the left hand. So my left hand clicks number 2, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and you see I can activate all the modules with my left hand. If you maybe have a shield booster or maybe an armor wrapper, that you can put on the row number 2, for example, or row number 3. I still use shield boosters or armor wrappers with my mouse. But everything else, I don't touch it with my mouse. Do not touch it with your mouse. Get used to use your left hand and your shortcuts. The first thing we do, we're going to create a bookmark. We can hold the Control and B like Barcelona, and from here we can name it as S. And then we click the Gates tab. We can warp to the sun, save warp to 100. And I open that by clicking the Control B like Barcelona, and I just changed the name to SS. I actually did that before start warping. And then while I'm warping, in the middle of warp, I simply submit. And I just created a bookmark. So yeah, this one you can see there, the SS. They're on the bookmark window that you open with the L like Luis. I could actually warp to 0 as I'm doing now to the bookmark that I created. Just right click there on the bookmarks. And as mentioned, you can click the L, and that's what makes the bookmark window appear. the L like Louise. I just created the bookmark there, the SS, and I warped to it. I just landed. And I can warp to the sun and go back to my bookmark. I created it close to the sun. Now that I'm here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own target. How do I make a target for myself? I click on down here on my holes and base. I hold shift down and drag one ammo. That doesn't matter which kind of ammo it is or whatever it is, but one ammo is good. And you just click, hold shift and drag and click OK. I separated one, only one, and right click and jettison. And there we go. Once every 2 minutes I can actually jettison something. Now on my loot tab, I actually have my can that I can actually practice with. Okay, how are we going to do this? Let's have a look at the next video. Let's have a look at it. All right, let's go for target practice. This first part is going to be about approaching your target. Once you land, how fast can we actually make our ship react, and how fast can we lock our target? And yeah, how fast we can actually be in controlling the distance and range that we want. To do that, we need to understand our orbiting and modules. If you hover over your modules, all modules have an effect range. You see, for example, the Scram has 7,500, the Web has a range of 10 kilometers, and my guns in this case have an optimal range, 938 meters. You always want to set your orbit, default orbit range, under the range of the module that has the shortest range. In this case, the one that has the shortest effect, that would be my guns. So I do want my orbit under my optimal range. So I'm sure that the module that has the shortest effect in the range, I can activate it on my target. If I want to make sure that I can apply my web to my target, then even if I had a long-range guns like artillery, it will not help that I put my orbit at 20 kilometers because my guns might be able to hit, but my web will not apply because it has a maximum range of 10. So yeah, always put your optimal range under the range of the module that has the shorter range that you want to apply to your target. Okay, let's give it a shot. We're going to warp to the sun. I created the safe spot close to the sun, so we don't have to warp that far away. So we're going to warp to the sun. We're going to use the loot tab, and we are going to pretend that that container that we drop is our target. So the first step is very simple. We just want to make our ship react as soon as possible, and how we set our default orbit. You click whatever on your overview, make sure that you click something, and here you have the orbit button, top right click, and say in my case, I want it under 938, so I'm going to put it to 0, and it will default at 500 meters. There you go. I do that because my guns, in my case, my optimal range is 938. So I want to be orbiting under that. So now the steps are the following. We are gonna, as soon as we land, we're gonna see our target here. While the warp on the speedometer, it's gonna be showing the warp word. As soon as we see our target, we already from that moment, we're not going to wait until we land. We're just going to hold the Q down, which is the shortcut for our orbit. And we're going to start spamming the left mouse button while we hold the Q down. And we don't wait for landing. We're just going to spam. The speedometer will change from the word warp into numbers. And as soon as the numbers start to go up, that means that we have actually given the order and the ship is responding to our orbit order. So we hold Q down and start spamming the left mouse button while we land and wait for the speedometer to start coming up. As soon as it does that, we will click with our left hand number 1, that will activate our prop module. And then we will hold space down and click our target so we lock it. And as soon as we're about to cross the 10 kilometer line, then we're going to press the 1 again, so we actually turn the micro warp drive off. To my opinion, micro warp drives should only be used in most cases to get as fast as possible from point A to point B. Once you have reached point B, you should turn it off because it will turn you into a very big target. Micro warp drive increase your signature radius. So yeah, in most cases, as soon as you reach the range that you're looking for, a little bit before that, because you have momentum, you will actually turn it off. That's for micro warp drive, not for afterburners. Okay, I'm gonna right click my save spot and warp in at 20 to start practicing at 20 kilometers. So we have some range to approach to our target. Now let's see. I'm in warp. I know that my target is gonna appear here. I hold Q down already before I land and start already left clicking here, spamming my left mouse button. Look at my speedometer at the bottom of the screen. Look there. As soon as it starts coming up, the speed, now I click 1, activate my micro warp drive, then hold the space down and click my target. So it's locking. About to cross 10, I press 1 again. So it turns it off. This has set me into orbit with my micro warp drive off. Look at the range, the momentum. Didn't take me that far away, actually. I can hold the Q again and click again on my target to make sure that I'm orbiting. Those orders could be given from the broadcast, the fleet history as well. But see that I'm orbiting there? Okay. Let's repeat again. Now we hold Control-Shift down to unlock, and we warp out again to the sun. There you go, to 100. You could warp at 0, doesn't matter. And then repeat the operation. We are going to do it one more time. Let's do it together. You should practice this. It's step 1 after you got it down, especially the momentum. When should I turn off my micro warp drive? There's a little line turning around it. That's the cycle. Micro warp drive don't turn off until the cycle is over. Have a look here. I turn it on here. You see the white line? If I turn it off here, it's not off yet. It will first turn off when the cycle is over. So let's give it another try. We go to our safe spot at 20 Ks. Let's try it one more time on my loot tab. I'm warping. I hold the Q down. And as soon as it appears, I start spamming my leftmost button. Look at the speedometer down there. As soon as it comes up, then I will press the 1 to activate my warp drive. Look, so I'm spamming, speedometer goes up. Great. I click 1 to activate, hold space, left click, and it's locked. There you go. My range is crossing 10. I turn it off right now. Let's see my momentum. How did I do that? I can hold Q down again if I want to make sure it's orbiting, but it should be already. And look, it didn't take me that far away. My momentum was more or less all right. I'm still approaching my target at 45 angle degree. That's pretty okay. I will probably have survived this even if they were shooting at me. That's a step 1. Now we're going to add all the layers on top of that. Let's practice that until you got down to detail, and let's move on. Now, in step 1, we learned about how to make our ship react as soon as possible, how to lock as fast as possible, how to get into orbit as fast as possible, the reason why we turned our micro warp drive off when we were reaching our orbit. And yeah, this we will not do if we had an afterburner. We will leave our afterburner on all the time. It gives you less speed, but it does not increase your signature radius. So afterburners, we always leave on. Micro warp drives, most of the time, we only use to get from point A to point B. Okay, point number 2 here, step number 2, we're going to talk about pre-activation of modules. What is pre-activation? I have nothing locked, and I click key number 2 and key number 3. You see them blinking? All right. If now I locked anything, a target or whatever that was in my range, and within the range of the effect of those 2 modules, then being 7,010 kilometers here, if I locked anything while they are pre-activated, they will immediately be applied to whatever I locked. It's very useful, so I don't need to waste time by first locking and then activating the modules. That all depends on the range of the modules. Let's give it a shot. We're going to do the same as step 1, and we are going to warp at 20 Ks. As soon as we're going to cross the 10 kilometers for the web, we're going to activate those 2. Let's see. even though this gets activated at 7,500, probably the momentum that we're going with the micro warp drive on will do that by the time this responds, we're going to be into 7,500. Let's try. It's going to warp in a 20 case. Off we go. Some guy came here because he was bored, but we're holding the Q down and we start spamming with the left mouse button until the speedometer starts coming up. Look, hold Q down, left click, spamming. The speedometer is coming up. Good, we click 1. Good, we're not locking this time. Yeah, now we're locking. As soon as I'm crossing, I put 2 and 3 and the micro warp drive off. There you go. Those modules are active. And I didn't go that far away in my orbit. Maybe I turned my micro warp drive a little bit too late, but my target is actually scrammed and webbed, and I'm orbiting quite a fine distance. So my guns should be doing just fine. I'm not activating them because I don't want to blow my can right now. That we will do in the next part. Okay, let's try this one more time. Let's warp to the sun. There we go. In this case, we didn't really use the pre-activation. Why did I not do it here? It's because I knew I was landing at 20 Ks and pre-activating my guns and landing at 20. By the time I lock my target will not help because those modules are much shorter than 20 kilometers. One is 10 and the other is 7.5. But let's try this. We're going to go with 20. We try this one more time. We use the loot tab, and hold the Q down, and start spamming my left mouse button, and I don't stop until I can see my speedometer coming up. So I'm spamming right here with the Q down. As soon as my speedometer comes up, now I click 1, space down, click, look at my range. I'm crossing the 10 line. I'm clicking 1, 2, and 3 with my left hand. That turned off my micro warp drive. Great. And activated my scram and my web. All right. And there you go. Very good. This time my momentum was a bit better. I didn't go 4,000 meters away, or only about 1,500. That's pretty good. That's how to do it. Good. Now, in time, you're going to be practicing this as well, warping in instead of 20, maybe at 50 kilometers. And then you'll see that you have to tackle some other problems, which is that your ship might not be able to lock that far away. So you're going to have first to approach, then when you cross the locking range, then you're going to have to lock. Let's try this if we land at 0. Let's try at 0. What's the difference here? Let's warp to the sun first. And the difference is going to be that if I land at 0, I know that those two modules are actually, if I land at 0 or very close, I'm within this range, the range of those two modules. Yeah, that means that actually now I can pre-activate them. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So you'll see the pre-activation in action. I warp at 0. There you go. Could be the target landing at you at 0 or me at the target at 0. So because I'm at 0, I don't need to activate my micro warp drive because I'm very close. I'm actually going to skip the key number 1, but I'm pre-activating, you'll see. Number 2 here and number 3 with your left hand. I'm just simply locking, space and click, and you see, pop, and holding the Q down. Immediately the modules, because they were pre-activated, as soon as I locked my target, they automatically fall into it. I never really activated my micro warp drive because I knew I was landing very close, and it will be dumb to activate. You don't need. In time, you will learn to understand all this and get better at practicing it. Just practice it over and over. Here, you have done and applied your tackling modules. Now we're actually gonna shoot. All right, and we are back to step number 3 of the target practice. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to start shooting our can. So we're going to add a new layer. Apart from shooting, in this case, our ship has a drone. So we're going to apply that drone as well. We set the shortcuts earlier with the E. When I click E, see the little blink there, my drone is out. Now if I had a target, I could press the F and it will simply engage it. I'm going to press the R to return it into my drone bay, and here it comes. And he came back in. All right. Let's go to the sun and come back. Yeah, we're going to start practicing from 20 kilometers. Same thing. Now we just put another layer into what we did before in step 1 and 2. The guns we can actually activate when we cross the 10 kilometers, even though they're not going to hit with the momentum that we have with the microwave drive. It's a fair range because the other modules are the same, so we don't have to think about so many different distances. And as soon as we click the approach, we actually could click the E as soon as we actually lock. Click the E and the F, so our drone actually deploys and starts attacking. Let's try it here together. We're going to warp in within 20. We're going to click on the loot tab. The same as we did in step 1, we hold the Q down, which is the orbit button, because we want to get into orbit to our target. Hold the Q down and start spamming left mouse button. Click, 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 click. Look at the speedometer. Look at the speedometer as soon as it starts going up. There we go, it's moving. We click 1, lock my target with the space. Now I can do E, have a little break, so it deploys an F. There you go, see, my drone is applied. I'm crossing the 10 and 1, 2, 3, and 4. There you go. Boom, boom, boom. The drone is engaging. Everything is on my target. And bye-bye. Good. You see, let's stop our ship right here and recall our drone with the R. Okay, we're going to try it one more time. You can eject one can every 2 minutes. So it's probably fairly okay to just blow it. And by the time you jettison and we're back and go and blah, blah, probably the 2 minutes have passed. So you can try it over and over and over and over. It's 5 times every 10 minutes. So you do this for 30 minutes, you're getting much better. This is the main thing and secret of PvP, having your left hand chain and knowing when to drop what and when to activate your modules and having a look at the overview, all these ranges and when to activate stuff. I dropped a new can, I warped to the sun. There we go. We're going to repeat that. We're going to do it one more time. Left hand chain, super important. Get used to activate all those modules with your left hand. Why am I dropping and engaging my drone before I'm activating my guns and my modules? Well, because I landed 20 kilometers, those have not affected that range. I'll rather, while I'm landing, while I'm approaching and locking, as soon as I lock, I deploy my drone and make him engage. And then when I cross the 10-kilometer line, then I activate everything else. So I don't waste time. If I landed at 0, I will probably do all those 3, and then the E, and then the F. Notice that in between the E, to drop the drone, and the F to engage, I will like a moment, because the system needs just 1 second to actually drop the drone from your drone bay to space. So there's a one little second break in between. I press the E and I press the F. Let's try it again. We're warping in a 22-hour safe spot where our can will be waiting. And off we go. Of course, we need to click on the loot tab. And there we are. I'm holding Q down already, which is my orbit. There you go. As soon as I appear, I start holding Q down and spamming my left mouse button. Look at the speedometer. As soon as it comes up, I press 1, E, 1 moment, and then the F, so the drone engages. Oh, I had to lock before. There you go. Crossing the 10, 1, 2, 3, and 4. There you go. See, everything. My drone is everything. Everything is on, and boom. Off goes the pot. Let's do it once again. Let's recall the drone with the R. Let's try it one more. time. Hold shift and drag. There you go. Just jettison. There's a 52 seconds. Just let's move on the video. There we go. And here we go. Deploy. Jettison the can. And we go to the sun. And then we come back and do the same. Again, you should do these in all different ranges, landing at 20, landing at 50, landing at 0, so you see the troubles that you will meet. If you don't practice this with your can, you will meet those problems in the middle of the battlefield, and that's going to cost you a lot of ships. All right, let's go. We're warping in at 20 to our safe spot where we dropped our can, where we jettison our can, using the loot tab. In a regular situation, we'll be using the PvP or the police tab, but now for training practice, we're going with the loot. Hold Q down and start spamming there. I'm spamming the left mouse button. Click, 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 click. Look at the speedometer. As soon as it starts going up, there it goes up. Press 1, hold space, lock the target. We drop our drone with the E, and then we press the F. Look at the range, about 10, and the chain, 1, 2, 3, and 4. There you go. Everything is activated. Everything, including my drone, everything's on my target. Great. Boom. Good job. That was a good run. You guys can repeat this as many times as possible. You don't need to blow out your can if you don't want to. You can skip that, but it's a good thing that you can at least drop the drone. Simply your left hand needs to get used to that chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, then the E, the little break, and then the F. When you press what depends on the range of your guns, the range of your modules, the range where you land, the range where your enemy is, but practice this chain over and over and over and over so you don't make the different mistakes that you will meet on the battlefield. You can make the mistakes here while you practice. Okay, recall your drone. Let's move on to the next step. One little detail about the mechanical part is once you're orbiting, and imagine that we have everything on him, whatever, right now we're just orbiting our can. Be aware of your surroundings. Yeah, is there anywhere around that I could actually warp to if things don't go my way? If my shields are gone immediately and my armor is going down very fast and oh my God, I'm gonna die. Before you die, especially when in fleet, try not to die. It's much better to warp away somewhere and then come back into the battle. That is because you will force the enemy to have to switch targets to somebody else, waste time doing that, and you will not die. You'll be able to come back into the fight, keep shooting, and if everybody does that in the fleet, the enemy will actually never maybe kill anyone. She's just going to have to continue switching targets and losing time with that. This is not doable all the time. Sometimes you're going to be webbed and scrammed and you're fucked and you're going to get too much damage and you will not be able to warp. But be aware that as soon as you enter your orbit and everything is on your target, the next thing is to check your surroundings. Is there anything that I can actually align to in case I need to escape? For example, here I'm orbiting around my target with everything on him. Things are not going very well. I'm just going to double click on space and start aligning on that direction. By double clicking on space, and if I'm lucky, I can right click and warp. I could warp at the 100, I could warp at 0, and if I'm lucky, I'm not scrammed or disruptor, I can actually warp off before I die. Can be the sun or can be anywhere else you decide. Just be aware of your surroundings, that what are you going to pre-align to if you need to escape, before it's too late. And you align just by double clicking on space. There you go. You're aligning there. That will help you to be able to warp already escape. That's it. All right, let's have a look at the usage of the camera. Go to a gate or a station. I just went to a semi-busy gate here and practice how to follow people, at least to see where they warp. We're just going to wait here for somebody who jumps in. Now that I got you here, notice the bottom left here. Make sure that you have the tactical overlay selected and the orbital camera selected all the time. Okay, somebody jumps in. For example, this Providence here, I just hold C and click on him there. I can do it both on the screen or on the overview. And once he warp, the camera will track him. Now it's a very slow ship, but let's see. See, he's moving. Hold C, click on him, and he warped, and you see, whoop, the camera showed us exactly where he went. He warped to that gate. There you go. So, yeah, we can try somebody else. Anybody else see this validator, for example, there? I click on him right there, zoom a little bit in, and he's warping, and the camera follows him, and there you go. He could go to any of those stations or to that gate. They are all aligned the same direction, but now you know which direction he went. Very useful. Okay, let's have a look at the fleet window and the different things that we will meet on the fleet window: broadcast, watch list, etc. Okay, the fleet window here, it can be on your NeoCom to the left, otherwise on the top left on the menu. You can go to social and open the fleet. Everything from the NeoCom, I can actually drag it to my column here. And I put the fleet there, I click on the fleet, and I can actually click on Define Fleet. If the fleet has been announced by whoever has created it, they can link it directly in the corp, and we can click and join it, or their picture might appear there, and then you can click their picture and join it. One thing important is don't join fleets that they are not from your corp, or if you don't know the people who's running them. A lot of them can be just fakes. For example, those here, I have no idea why they're available to me. That doesn't really matter. If they are not people you know, do not join any. Okay, how you can practice this? Even if you don't have anybody to join a fleet with, you can right-click your own picture, and say form fleet. You can actually form fleet with yourself. That is awesome. Now, in my case, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna invite my alt just to be able to show you some stuff. And there you go. I invited him and put it as a squad member. I accepted with him. Now he's in there. Now, how do we add people? How do we set up the watch list? How do we add people in watch list? Here in the fleet window, you have my fleet to the left. You right click on squad and say add squad members to watch list. He appeared here. That's my alt. If there were more people in the squad, they will all have appeared there. Now, how to add people above the squad, that means wing commanders or fleet commanders. You can right click on them and say go pilot and send add to watch list. I cannot see myself. You will not be able to see yourself. That's why I don't see that option right there. But everybody else can add each other. You can only not just add yourself to the watch list. Everybody else can do it. So yeah. What is this useful for? First of all, you can drag and drop people. If there were several, you can change their positions. And this is related or has similar options to what you can do on the fleet history as well, called broadcasts. If you look at the fleet history, you can put some filters, different ones. I always leave the all on. If I, for example, ask for armor, we have set the A for shortcut. You see it will appear there. If somebody else would have done it, we could actually interact with them through this. Like, for example, let's imagine there is an enemy. My FC could have broadcast a target. In this case, I'm going to broadcast my alt just for pretending. I can actually interact with my target by using the fleet history. I'm just going to unlock him just to show you. And here you can see I could actually hold my spacebar down and click on the broadcast in the broadcast window and lock him without having to do it on the overview. I can actually give other orders to my ship towards him. Like, for example, I can hold the Q down and click on him, and my ship starts orbiting. And I'm doing all this through the watch list, through the fleet history, through the broadcast. Yeah, I can use the W to approach, and that approach to that. So the same thing you can actually do in the watch list. This is more for targets, and the watch list is more for people in your fleet. But maybe you want to get closer to the FC, or maybe the FC calls for anchor. Anchor means that they regroup the fleet together. You can hold a Q, for example, and click on whoever FC is on the watch list, and it will start orbiting him, or you can use the approach. You can change the colors as well. You can put reds or you can put yellows. So usually you put the FC on top and scouts as well. If Constantine, in this case, he was far away in the same system, maybe in a planet, I could right-click on him there and it will say warp to member. So if I jump into a system and my friend is not right there, but he's asking for help or he caught somebody and I want to warp to him, I can just right-click and say warp to member. And that will warp me to him as far as he's in the same system. Those are the main windows on the fleet and the watch list and the broadcast. You can interact with your surroundings, with the overview, the fleet history, and on your watch list. All right, let's move on. Okay, we're going to talk about the Notepad Trick. This is how you do it. The Notepad Trick, you simply click on the Neocom, top left of your screen, Utilities and Notepad. Once you open the Notepad, it will probably look like this. If you double click here on the line there, it will make like a little thin line in black. We use it for target assignment. How do we do it? When, for example, on the police tab, that we don't, all of us, want to tackle the same person, or for some reason we don't want to shoot at the same person. For anti-ganking, for example, it's very useful since you need to kill as many as possible within 10 seconds. Putting everybody this fire on the same person, it's a waste of DPS. But look at the fleet, it's in alphabetical order. If the FC, for example, says put the notepad on the fleet position, Constantine, in this case, you can see here at the fleet chat, he's on the top. He will click on the main tab and cover with the notepad the first row. Right there, you see the notepad word to the left, and he can click back on the overview and it overlaps. It's very easy to see the top position. Even when he clicks, for example, on the police tab, it's easier to see, okay, that's my assigned target. And it's not as useful now that he's number 1, but imagine he's on fleet number 10. He could go and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That will be his assigned position, and there you go. Much easier for him to find his number 10, his assigned target. Yeah, because it will appear right there where the notepad is located. The FC will tell you if this is something that you need to do, but now you know how to position the notepad and what it is actually all about. The NPC could say, Constantine, you have targets 1, 2, or 3. We'll put the notepad on the top, but targets 1, 2, or 3 will be for him. Second person will have position number 4. He will put that on number 4. And then when he click back on the police tab, for example, they will notice that they will have 4, 5, and 6, whatever the FC says. The important part now is that you know how we actually put it and more or less what we use it for. You will learn that when we go out with fleets in detail. Okay. That's basically it for the mechanical training. The rest you will learn by coming out with us in our fleets, the different type of fleets, but practice this as much as you can over and over and over so your left hand is properly trained and you have a better overview of where you landed and why this did not work and oh my god, now I couldn't lock, and just practice that over and over at different ranges. Now, third-party apps. One more video that I want you to look at as well, and that is about your Dscan. You must know how to use your Dscan. For PvE use, that's completely up to you, but for defensive use in PvP and for offensive use in PvP, the video is going to be linked below, and the benchmarks as well. So there's a little note with from what time of the video you can actually start watching for the learning the defensive part and which one for the offensive part. Learn that. And with the same ship that you've been training, go out and practice in high sec. You must be able to see who is around you with your Dscan, and you must be able to find people with your Dscan within 20 seconds. You need to be able to find people in space. So watch that video as well and go and practice it in high sec. I'm going to link as well a couple of third-party applications. One is the ship labeler that will show constantly all the time on space the ship type and the name pilot and the range they are from you. That makes it much easier to have an overview over the battlefield. And the second one is the Pirate's Little Helper. That is a tool that will show you without having to click on the local chat or having to check all the players. It will tell you immediately who is in the local, who might be playing with who, how many friends somebody have there. It will tell you if somebody's a criminal without having to click on each and every pilot individually. Okay, so keep practicing this, practice it over and over and over, join our fleets. And yeah, the next video is about our Discord, how to find the fleets and how to find information that you will need. And after learning on our Discord, you're all ready to go. Yeah, hope to fly with you. Let's have a look at our Discord. Okay, everything that we do it through our Discord. On the top, we have the manifesto and the ranks. We have the important group and corp announcements, things under corp, scheduled fleets, where you, for example, can see the fleets that are coming. You look at there to see when they are, which kind of fleets they are. There has a timer, your local timer as well. We have training ups every now and then, some casual fleets, some reminders. And here under the guides and links group, I'll strongly recommend that you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the top 6. Start from there, start from the top one. For example, the first one here, the New Basics, you will see game basics and money making. It will teach you a lot about the UI itself. It's an extension of some of the things that I told you about on the video, but those links are very, very useful after you've done your training here. Watch one at a time, do it with a cup of coffee. One day you watch one, another day you watch another one. Don't pretend to go through all those infos in like a day. It's impossible. It will should take you at least 2 or 3 weeks. So take one at a time slowly while you have a coffee, and you learn a lot of important information. For example, survival tips, PvP basics. You really need those. You will need to learn all that stuff in those channels. So go through them and have a look. There's as well about some PvE if you're interested in that, some guides on how to do it. We have the general group. This is our main chat, what we usually talk there, ask questions there. Every time we do an operation together, we join comms. So yes, we are on voice when we have operations together. Otherwise, it's impossible to play EVE. There are some chats about PvP, and then some PvE chat if you want, industry chat, training up, some recruitment channels. But yeah, let's get into it. Good luck, guys, and thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.